Well,
that I know of.
Well, Miller, got a phone call from the president of Cameroon. And
it's like the A-Team.
It's like a grizzled detective. Just one more case.
Yeah.
It was pleading for him to
He's
come
like
out of
Danny Glover in
retirement.
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, exactly. So at the age of 38, Miller, he got on the boat and he came over, and it was easily his finest hour as a footballer.
He scored 4 goals that tournament.
He lit up Italian 90. Bursts of pace, jinking runs, clever passes. And lest we forget that celebration.
Oh, yeah.
Which, as you say, is one of the finest sights. Dancing around that corner flag, wiggling his bottom.
The best one he did was when he robbed Higuita.
Well...
And he was straight over there.
Well, he came on as a late substitute when Cameroon beat Argentina 1-0, and that was in the tournament's opening game. And in the second group fixture, the great thing was he was 38. He'd been playing semi-pro stuff in this country, in this island in the Indian Ocean. So he just simply couldn't do 90 minutes. So he was the ultimate impact substitute.
Yeah.
He used to always come on, and often it would be sort of 0-0 or whatever, and he'd come on and get the goals.
He was the original Solskjaer.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And so anyway, of course against Romania, he came on. Came off the bench after 58 minutes, 0-0, and he became the oldest goal scorer in the tournament's history when he actually roasts a couple of Romanian defenders to smash it in on about 76 minutes.
Remember that goal?
And 10 minutes later he scored another one, and they beat Romania 2-1, and of course, as I say, they qualified, and then into the second round they played Colombia, who were a good side.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
They're a very good side, Colombia.
They're a precursor to that 94, much fancied 94 side.
Well, that's right, yeah. And he scored 2 goals, and as you say, the first goal, I mean, this is a 38-year-old man, he roasted like Escobar, of course,
Tragic Escobar,
he absolutely roasted him and one of the other defenders, and brilliantly put it past Higuita.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, Higuita absolutely...
But Higuita massively tried to take him out with a 2-footer as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
He robbed Higuita, ran past him, and he was off. And Higuita, last ditch, just chucked 2 feet right at Miller's back of his leg.
Yeah,
he stayed in his feet, and he slotted it, and he was off.
Well,
he reeled away.
Yeah. Well, and then became the oldest swinger in town. But,
I love that every time he scored, he broke his own record for being the oldest scorer.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, Miller said about that, he said about the Higuita moment, he said, he wanted to dribble it past me. You don't dribble past Miller.
That's class. Zlatan Ibrahimovic would like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't dribble past Miller. Third person as well.
Yeah, Jim Campbell was enjoying that.
Yeah. So he took Colombia apart, and they won that game 2-1. And we have to say as well, while we're on the subject of Roger Miller, that 4 years later in the USA 94...
He played again, didn't he?
He played again. Yeah. Bearing in mind, in 1980, in the late 80s, he thought, I'm pretty much done. Play out. He becomes one of the stars of Italia 90, and then he still features in the USA 94, and scored in that tournament.
Yeah. At what age?
At the age of 42. Officially, the age of 42. It could have been about 46, Pete, to be honest with you.
Isn't that ridiculous? He must be the oldest scorer, surely.
Oh, yeah, he would be, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
little mini profile, little profile there, Mark.
Well, absolutely. I think
he deserves it.
Yeah. Well, he'll get his own round of applause at the end, I'm sure. But back to Cameroon. So here they are, lighting up the world stage, and in 1990 with a fantastic kit, fantastic players, fantastic hair, the lot.
Yeah.
And it all came to a head when England played Cameroon in the quarter-final of the World Cup. And as I'm saying, and which England won 3-2, a part of me's thinking, wasn't it a shame they lost?
Yeah, well, Sir Bob said he said that they were the best team they played against.
Well, they were a real physically sort of dominating side, weren't they?
Yeah.
That was what gave England problems.
Yeah.
And it was just their discipline let them down a little bit. 2 penalties.
Absolutely. I think that raw physical side of the African game, people hadn't really experienced that too much.
Yeah.
Nowadays we're much more used to it, but certainly. But not only that, the way they passed the ball, they were technically really, really good as well, but just maybe a bit naive tactically. Cameroon, had burst their way through to the quarterfinals. And I mean, they must have thought, bloody hell, we can go all the way here.
I reckon they could have.
Which they could have done. I mean, perhaps against Germany in the semi-final, maybe that would have been a bit too much.
Argentina weren't great. They were fallible. As Cameroon already beat them once, so if they could get to the final, there's no reason Cameroon couldn't.
Well, but I think Germany were the best side.
Yeah.
Oh, they were,
Germany
probably were, yeah.
So maybe, it would have been a very interesting game, Cameroon.
All I'm saying is that game against England in the quarter-final could have gone either way, 3-2, and semi-final, you're in the hat. You never know what's going to happen.
True. I think we can all agree that Cameroon were the better side. in that quarter-final against
It was
England.
just those 2 penalties. I think Gascoigne got brought down and Lineker got brought down, didn't they?
That's right, yeah, but I mean, it was a real classic game, that. And, England...
Oh, it was breathtaking.
It
Absolutely
was.
breathtaking.
I can remember, actually, Barry Davis commentated, and I just remember that Gascoigne said after the game, he just went, we underestimated them.
Yeah.
Totally underestimated them.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, really. You can see what they're doing in the previous rounds.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can remember when it was Mfede, I think.
Yeah.
Was he striker?
That sounds right, yeah.
He ran through on goal and Shilton sort of blocked, and it was a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, flipping it.
We've got a game on here.
What is going on
We've
here?
got a game in our hands.
And they had a couple of efforts, and then David Platt scored and put England 1-0 up, and everyone was like, all right, here we go. Early scare.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Cameroon came back at them.
Yeah.
And again, the manager brought on Roger Miller at half-time. Give him a whole half this time.
Yeah.
We had more than a whole half. We went to extra time.
Yeah.
And Miller, he just started pulling the strings, and things just started happening. And they got a penalty on 61 minutes. And Miller created that, and then I think Gascoigne fouled Oman Biek, and Koundé scored the penalty. Now the Naples, the home crowd was suddenly, well, we like these guys, and they took Cameroon to their hearts, if you like. And they started coming. And Makanaki, do you remember Makanaki?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Great name, great player.
Cyril.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Not Alan.
Yeah,
No.
he hit the outside of the post, and suddenly England were panicking.
They were under the cosh, I
They were
remember
really
it, yeah.
panicking, and then Roger Miller just drifted forward as if the England, midfield and defence weren't there, and just touched Ekeke through, who was another substitute, who finished superbly, and it was 2-1
up.
Cameroon. And I can remember Barry Davis, he kept saying, Cameroon deserved to be level, Cameroon deserved their lead. He kept really whacking the point home. And then England kind of, this is where Cameroon, were a little bit naive. England came back, and it was a sloppy penalty they gave away. Lineker converted, and then in extra time again, Cameroon came forward, but again a little breakaway. Gascoigne showing his work.
Slid Lineker through.
Beautifully slot Lineker through, and they went a clumsy foul, and Lineker scored again.
Oh, they were all nailed on penalties in that game.
Yeah, but Barry Davis, you could imagine what he was saying, and he was saying Cameroon are passing the ball better, they are technically better, and Trevor Brookin, who was co-commentating, said, I think after this game, Bobby Robson will take this video home and he will show a lot of kids this and say, this is how you pass a football.
Yeah.
Bobby Robson said after the game, everybody had a bit of sympathy for Cameroon. I know we did. We got in front with a good goal, a wonderful goal, but at the time they were the better team. And when they went ahead, they were the better team, but we pulled it out of the fire. And David Platt said it was a difficult game. They were strong and athletic, and a little bit tactically naive at times. We weren't surprised by them because they had done very well, but we did expect to win. Again, they expected to win England. They went into that, and what I mean, this kind of sums it up. Some of the scouts in the England camp had said to Bobby Robson before that, he says, "Oh, you've pretty much got a bye to the semi-final."
Yeah.
Simply ridiculous.
Yeah. You'd hope that wouldn't happen these days. I mean, the world's a lot. I mean, the thing is, there is no excuse because they've seen what they've done in the group stage. That's not a fluke. You've come through the group, a tough group. You've beaten Colombia, who are a good team in the second round. You've beaten the world champions. There's no excuse for that.
Absolutely, Luke. And Cameroon, they became the first African side to reach the quarterfinals, and because of their efforts. And also Egypt were in that World Cup, and they had a respectable showing. OK, they went out in the first round, but they did have a respectable showing. They got draws off Ireland and Holland, I believe, and it was only England.
They lost 1-0 to a Mark Wright goal, didn't they?
That's right. Because of the success of the Cameroon side, and obviously we have to mention Egypt as well, FIFA increased Africa's quota of spots from 2 to 3 for USA 94. So that Cameroon side were real sort of pioneers for
Well, they
African
kicked the door down for the rest of the...
They really did. They put African football on the map.
And then Nigeria did really well in 94, didn't they?
They did, yeah. But that Cameroon side, they were so likeable. As I say, they were one of my favourite teams in the history of the game. They played the game in, well, you could say with the right spirit, although they did make a few fouls on the way there.
Exactly, yeah.
But they loved the game.
There was nothing vicious.
The celebrations, it was absolutely wonderful. Everybody who watched them, I'm sure, will agree that it was just an absolute joy.
Yeah.
And
they're a worthy addition to the Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely they are. Absolutely they are. So I can't talk highly enough of them. And Roger Miller says,
we ended on a quote from Roger Miller, are we?
I think so.
Okay, it's only fair.
He said, he was saying about the World Cup, and he said, football is what makes small countries big. It is through the magic of the beautiful game that a single player can catapult his homeland into the global arena. And he certainly did that. Cameroon,
Roger Miller.
1990, come on
Do the dance, do the dance!
And Roger Miller. He's coming in soon. Of course he is.